Welcome to the Tipping Point Show. I'm Jimmy Evans. We have a great show for you today. It's all about Israel. I have our endtimes.com Israel correspondent Brian Schrager joining me here in just a minute. We're going to be talking about the assassination attempt on Benjamin Netanyahu, the killing of Hamas chief Sinwar, Iran, so many other things we're going to be talking about. So much happening there right now. And so I want to tell you before I introduce Brian, our conference from September, our Tipping Point conference, is now posted on endtimes.com. So all of our subscribers, you can watch the entire conference there for free. Maybe you came and you want to watch it again. Maybe you haven't watched it. If you're a subscriber, it's posted there and you can go on there and watch it. If you're not a subscriber, for $7 a month, you can see all of our podcasts commercial free. This entire podcast commercial free. All of our articles, breaking news, everything we have, and everything we have is archived. Plus, you can watch this year's conference. It was a very powerful conference. And so become a subscriber for $7 a month if you're not already a subscriber. Next year's conference is going to be in September at Stonebriar Church in Frisco, and those tickets are now on sale. So you can go to endtimes.com and buy your tickets there. This year we're giving a 30% discount for our subscribers. We have been giving a 50% discount. Our expenses have just skyrocketed. And so I know that you know that from your own personal life. And so rather than raising our ticket prices, we just cut the discount there a little bit. And so go to endtimes.com, get your tickets right now. We don't have all of our speakers, confirmed. And so once we confirm all of our speakers, we'll let you know who's going to be there, but it's going to be a powerful conference again next year. And I have joining me now Brian Schrager, our Israel correspondent, and we'll be talking about all the things that are happening right now in the nation of Israel. So much is going on, and we know that they're going to strike Iran very soon. Brian, thank you for joining me today.
It's great to be with you, Jimmy.
Well, your reports every Tuesday are just phenomenal, and it's great to have you on the ground over there, and we've got a lot to talk about today. Now, this assassination attempt, this is an article from the Times of Israel. Hezbollah's drones target Netanyahu's Caesarea home. He said agents of Iran tried to assassinate me, and then they did minor damage. And the interesting thing to me is Iran, Hezbollah, they hit and miss, and Israel hits and kills.
Yeah,
and
we do.
So,
we do indeed.
But Netanyahu said after the attack, and of course they weren't home, the agents of Iran who tried to assassinate me and my wife today made a bitter mistake. He said the attack would not deter him from continuing the war, and that anyone who harms Israelis will pay a heavy price. And this is a quote from him. We will continue to eliminate your terrorists. We will return our hostages from Gaza. We will return our residents in the north. So that was very bold. There was actually 3 drones or rockets shot at his home. 2 of them were shot down. One of them, it said, did some exterior damage. But what do you think is going to happen? I mean, does this change their strategy toward Hezbollah or Iran or anything?
What it does mainly, I think, Jimmy, is it provides justification for targeting Iranian government officials, not just their military leaders. There has been some concern that, at least expressed here, there's been some concern that if Israel targeted elected official government people, that it would be a different kind of thing. It would be a kind of declaration of war, if you will.
Right.
When it took out Nasrallah and Ismail Haniyeh, they were leaders of terrorist organizations, but not of states. Okay.
Right.
So what's happened now is Iran, who was behind this, certainly, has directly and deliberately launched an attack at the Prime Minister of Israel. So this provides a justification on Israel's part to do the same. They're not doing it first. They did it first. And in light of the constraints that are being placed on Israel right now, at least these constraints are attempting to be put on Israel by the United States mainly, not to attack its nuclear facilities, not to attack its oil facilities. What that mainly leaves are military and government targets. And in my report yesterday, I interviewed Dr. Jonathan Spire, who's been on before, amazing guy. And he said, well, he's also English as well as Israeli. And I love his expressions. He said, Iran is a target-rich environment.
Yeah.
So when it comes to people that Israel can target, there are a lot of options. And what the attack on Netanyahu's residence seems to have done is make that list of people who could be targeted bigger than it was.
Right. Well, Khamenei went into hiding. I don't know if he's still in hiding. He's obviously worried. he needs to use one of Nasrallah's bunkers, but he has a target on his chest for sure. You know, one of the things we're going to be talking about Iran here in just a little bit, but it seems to me that whatever Israel does, and their plan has been leaked, according to the U.S. government, and I don't know how on earth something like that could happen. You know, maybe they shared it with the Americans, and one of the Americans they shared it with, was trying to prevent them from doing what they're doing.
There's a report in Ynet that came out this afternoon. Ynet is the largest paid newspaper in Israel. Yediot Aharonot, right? Its main publication is in Hebrew. And by the way, every English speaker can access it. Just open it on Google Chrome and use Google Translate. It is a primary source of news here in Israel. It reported just a few hours ago that a high-level assistant of the Secretary of Defense, Austin, I think is his name, leaked the document. A woman.
Wow.
And so apparently they have zeroed in on the person that they're virtually certain did this. So yeah, Israel for its part is over here. I looked and listened to Brigadier General Amir Avivi, who was interviewed like a week ago, or at least featured on a report that I did, and he said, "Look, this is devastating news. I mean, Israel can't trust disclosing anything if it's going to be leaked." Now, this was not a strategically dangerous thing that was leaked. Nothing apparently of great import that will affect what Israel does or doesn't do was leaked. It just makes it very, very clear that there is a problem, and Israel has to guard its intelligence very, very closely.
Well, by the way, is that the call to prayer that we're hearing behind you?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yes, it is. Yeah,
my
neighbors are howling. They do it 5 times a day, and I tend to not hear it. I tune it out now. But yes, that's what's happening.
Well, I just wanted our viewers to know that that's what's going on behind you there.
Yeah, it is. I have a muezzin. There's a muezzin about 2 blocks away from me, but it sticks up, and it has a clear, direct angle to my window behind me, which is shut, but you still can hear it. So anyway, it's
no problem. Now, so in Iran, the attack, their plan was released. Now, the Israelis, I have an article here that they have been planning for 20 years to attack Iran.
Yes.
And so this isn't something they started thinking of yesterday. And so they have a plan to attack Iran, and so they leaked that one plan. It wouldn't take them long to come up with another plan, possibly even something worse. It seems to me, Brian, and you, that they just don't seem to be controlled by America. We have wanted them to do a ceasefire with Hamas. They haven't done that. We've wanted them to stop the incursion into Gaza. They haven't done that.
And thank God we didn't.
Thank God you didn't. And then with Hezbollah going into southern Lebanon there, they find mass tunnels and caches of weapons beyond anything that they could imagine, that they were planning on taking over Galilee. Yeah. And so if they stop, they're sending a message. Yeah. And what the message is we're willing to allow you to attack us, and we will respond in a limited manner. Yeah. The answer that they're giving is, we're going to destroy you. We're going to destroy Hezbollah, Hamas, the Houthis. We're going to destroy. We're going to destroy your infrastructure. We're going to kill your top leaders. But going back to Iran for just a minute, their response, they have said that the response will be devastating. Okay, mm-hmm. They use different words to describe their response. What do you think the response when they strike Iran? Do you think there is the chance of a regional war?
Oh, definitely, because Iran has pledged repeatedly that it will respond to anything Israel does now. it has argued, Iran has argued, look, what we did on October 1 was fully justified. And so nothing should be done back to us. But anything that Israel does, we will respond. So all of that is being taken into account now here in Israel. I think often when we perceive the response that's coming, we think of a one-time thing. And maybe that thinking needs to be changed or adapted. I suspect what we're going to see is something significant happening. I don't know if maybe we will attack just the Iranian military and political leaders, maybe more. But Iran is going to respond. And when it responds, I guarantee you Israel has backup plans for stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, stage 4. So it may be, in fact, that in its first response, Israel will not target Iran's nuclear program, and that will bend the knee to the wishes of the U.S. President Biden and his administration and the State Department and maybe the Pentagon. They're not always in sync, by the way. I think the Pentagon often is at odds with the State Department, but that's another discussion. Nonetheless, what I'm trying to argue here is that I suspect Israel has a plan, a staged response plan. So Iran will respond, and then that will potentially open up the door for Israel to do something it did not do the first time. So it may be the first time we go after military and political leaders, and then when they respond, okay, then we go after some of their military bases and maybe their nuclear sites. And then if it continues, then maybe we go after their oil. It could be any combination of those things, but it's probably not going to be a one-time thing. Israel's not anticipating that. Iran is pledging that they won't allow Israel to do something and not respond. So there's going to be a back and forth, which could easily ignite into a full-blown war, yes. And that's the risk Israel's taking. The problem is it has no choice. It has to accelerate. Jonathan Spire argued this in my report filed yesterday. He said, in order to bring the tension down, Israel has to accelerate. You mentioned a minute ago all that Israel has done in the last few months in terms of we will get you, in terms of what has happened in Lebanon, in Iran taking out Ismail Haniyeh, and now taking out Yahya Sinwar in Gaza. But this is a fairly new development because almost a year, Israel did allow Hezbollah to fire almost every day into northern Israel. And there was this kind of tit for tat thing going on. 60 to 100,000 people were displaced from their homes, but there was no vision for them to go back, no way for them to go back, because suddenly this became the acceptable thing. Right. Israel changed that doctrine at the end of July or in early August when it began saying, no, this is enough. We can't accept this anymore. And it has taken huge risks, including the risk of major war. I mean, when it went after Hezbollah, all of the scenarios here, ever since I've been here for 12 years, the scenario has been that when we eventually take on Hezbollah, there will be thousands of missiles fired every day into Israel, and there will be many thousands of Israelis dying until we get that under control. That hasn't happened. I mean, but that was the risk we were facing. Right. But in my opinion, God really intervened on our behalf and blessed our efforts and enabled us to go in and take out systematically leaders from the top down. Everything from taking out Nasrallah to all of the mid-level leaders who had walkie-talkies and pagers, right, that blew up in their hands or pockets, right? Yeah. And in their pockets, those guys are now singing soprano, I guess. In their hands, you can always tell who their operatives are now because they're one-handed, or maybe even they have a problem with at least one hand.
That's interesting.
Yeah, you know them now by their wounds. Any case, Israel has decided it's not going to sit back anymore and allow this to become a new normal, which is why it can't allow the attack from Iran on October 1st to go unanswered. This cannot become a new normal. that every time something happens, Iran's going to fire missiles, and Israel says, okay. And this argument that seemed to come from Biden, he said he wanted a proportionate response. Well, what's proportionate? What, are we going to surround Iran with our proxies and have them attack Iran? Are we going to fire hundreds of ballistic missiles at Iran? That would be proportionate, right? But I don't think that's what Biden meant. I think what he meant was it will be proportionate in as much as nobody gets hurt, like they didn't get hurt when. So because we defended ourselves against the deaths of many hundreds or more Israelis, well, then we can't respond to. It's just maddening. This kind of everything has to kind of calm down, and it's not going to happen.
So, are we withholding weapons from Israel? Is the United States today, that you know of, are we withholding weapons trying to manipulate Israel?
There are reports that shipments have been delayed, and I don't know the status of that, but I suspect there's some truth to that. And they can say, oh, it's stuck in the port, whatever. And so there may be some delay in getting things to us. On the other hand, the U.S. has brought in its THAAD missile system in anticipation of a response from Iran. And it's brought in, I think, about 100 U.S. troops to operate that missile system to help Israel defend itself. And I'm virtually certain that a big part of what's happened in the 3 weeks since Iran launched those ballistic missiles on October 1, that the U.S. and other allies have been positioning themselves, preparing to defend Israel against what Iran promises it will do after Israel responds. So it's a complicated situation. The most frustrating thing is that ever since Yahya Sinwar was killed a few days ago, suddenly everybody is saying, okay, now the war's over. Now Israel can lay down its arms. Now it has to, now we can get the hostages back. But Israel has not yet won. And if Israel laid down its arms right now, Hamas survives, which is what it wants to do. And if it survives, it comes back. Israel cannot allow that to happen again. It cannot allow Hezbollah to continue to have this incredible stronghold just across its borders in Lebanon. That cannot be permitted anymore. Something significant has to change, and it's not going to significantly change without decisive victories against Hamas, which we are getting, and against Hezbollah, and I think, too, against Iran.
Well, the Bible tells us the end of the story. And the end of the story, at the end of this age, is the world marches against Israel. The entire world does. Zechariah 12 tells us that. Joel 3 tells us that. We see that in Revelation 19. So the whole world is going to march against Israel, and you can see why today. And after October 7th, 2023, Benjamin Netanyahu said, never again. We're not making any more deals with the devil. These people are enemies. They want to kill us. There's no difference between the Palestinian Authority, Fatah, Hamas. There's no difference. They're all the same. No more deals. Now, ever since then, we've been trying to pressure them into a deal. And the Biden-Harris administration is absolutely dead set on a two-state solution. And it will never happen. There's no way it will ever happen. Well, first of all, the Palestinians don't want a two-state solution.
They don't
want a two-state solution.
No, they want one state, their state, from the river to the sea.
You look at the difference between the Trump and Biden. Trump was seen as very powerful, that he would be willing to use force against anyone that came against us or our allies. Biden is seen as a placater. I read one report, Brian, that he's released over $100 billion to Iran through releasing the sanctions and also releasing the frozen assets, over $100 billion to Iran. Then now he's trying to talk the U.S. government or the Israeli government from bombing their nuclear facilities. They need to bomb their nuclear facilities right now. They're on the verge of getting nuclear weapons, and their oil facilities. They can bring them to their knees. There could be a regime change in Iran if you bomb their oil facilities, and that's what Benjamin Netanyahu was saying on TV a couple of weeks ago. He was speaking directly to the Iranian people, saying, "Soon you will be free." Well, that's a big statement, and the Biden administration begins to bargain with Israel, and I talked about this last week, saying, if you don't bomb their oil facilities and their nuclear facilities, we'll do this, this, and this, and this. Well, the political language, that's saying, if you do it, we're going to do this, this, and we're not going to do that, and we're going to do this. So the Biden administration has just been so compromised. And now I've read reports that Israel said outwardly they're going to bomb Iran before the U.S. elections. Have you heard that?
It's a popular rumor. I mean, nobody really knows, but it's almost a given as an assumption here that we will attack before the elections. We can't afford to wait much longer. Certain pieces of the puzzle had to get in place. We had to get those THAAD missiles defense system in place from the U.S. Israel has reportedly, it's become a bit depleted on its interceptor missiles and rockets, and so that's had to be resupplied. We don't know for sure, but based on what we've seen the last several months, I suspect there are allies, especially U.S. allies, that have been positioning themselves vis-a-vis Iran in the Persian Gulf, and of course in the Mediterranean. So we've got protection, and in the Red Sea.
Right.
So something has to happen. There are rumors here that Netanyahu would rather see Trump in office than Biden, than Kamala Harris. But Israel is not, I don't think it's hedging, it's playing that game too closely. It's mainly just concerned about defending itself and doing what it has to do.
Thank all of you for tuning in today. If you're a subscriber, thank you for being a subscriber here to Tipping Point and endtimes.com. We really appreciate your support. And just remember, you can give a donation. You can go on endtimes.com, give a donation there, and a monthly donation, a recurring donation. Anything that you give helps us to expand this ministry and keep going. If you're not a subscriber, go to endtimes.com. Become a subscriber today. We have so much fantastic content, just like Brian. Mark Hitchcock on Thursdays, my show's here on Wednesdays. Plus, we have breaking news, articles that comes out. It'll keep you informed and encouraged. That's our mission, is to keep you informed and encouraged. And the encouragement in the midst of the chaos today is Jesus is coming. All these are the signs of the end times. The next major event that happens is the return of Jesus for the church, the rapture for the church. And that's why Jesus said, when you see these things begin to happen, look up, lift up your head. Your redemption is drawing near. Your redemption is drawing near. We're going to keep you updated in the future. Thank you for joining us today. I'll see you next time. God bless you.